Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Right Habit podcast. Today's episode is going to change how you think about writing forever, especially if you've been struggling with procrastination or perfectionism or self doubt that leave you staring at the page for hours. So, I'm joined by the amazing Josefina Wilters, a somatic coach, and she has worked magic inside my 90-day accelerator program in the past. Together with the participants, I've experienced how she calmed my nervous system before we had a co-writing session, and suddenly I could get into flow, and the other participants as well. It was offered as a bonus in that course, but we sort of noticed that it was actually the key to the whole program to help us write productively. And I, as a writing coach, was really surprised how much that changed how participants were managing to be productive writers and enjoy it and really live it in their body. And here's the exciting part. I just want to give it to you up front. We are offering a brand new masterclass together, Josefina and I, on somatic writing and how to get writing flow when you bring body and mind together. By the end of today's episode, I hope you will understand why this work is so essential and why your best writing is not just depending on your brain and your mind, but also on how your body shows up to the work. Hi, and welcome to Josefina. So happy that you're here.
Hello. So happy that you're having me. Thank you so much.
I have a million questions because I've seen in action what you can do with people and with blocked writers and creatives. Maybe you can just tell me a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
I'm a somatic coach, as you already said, and the work really started when I discovered my own challenges with the body. And I suffered from panic attacks years ago. And this was really when I began the journey of nervous system work, exploring really the mind body connection and also how our nervous system and body is actually communicating to us in every moment. These subtle messages that we often ignore, that we often just push away, that we often resist, these are our vital messengers. I went through a very dark and tough time with these panic attacks, and it really started to click when I allowed myself to surrender and open up to the feeling that is actually underneath the panic. How is my body communicating to me, and why? And what does that mean? Like, why do I get this message in this moment of time in my life? So I was seeing all the ways in which I was living unaligned. I was working in a job that I didn't really like. I was not setting boundaries. I was completely overriding my needs and putting others' needs above my own. So it was a whole way of how I was actually living unaligned, and my body was mirroring this to me. So it took me a couple of months to actually really starting to learn the language of my body, because it's a whole different language, the somatic language, right? Our body does not communicate with us through words. This is why oftentimes when I work with my clients, they're so self-aware, they're doing all these affirmations, all the journaling, even talk therapy for years, and they wonder why they still feel stuck, or they wonder why their desires didn't show up yet. It's because the body doesn't understand yet. The body and nervous system isn't yet on board. There was like a crucial moment when I experienced the panic attack, and instead of like resisting it, I was truly open up to the sensations, because a lot of times we resist the emotion. It's because we have a story attached to that emotion that makes it actually hard for us to feel. But if you just explore the sensation of the emotion of the panic in your body, it actually just takes 90 minutes. So then the sensation can flow through your body. So I allowed myself to space really open up and to just become curious how my body is communicating with me, and also to feel the intensity and the discomfort. And this was the moment I never ever had a panic attack again.
I love that. I just made a note. You said the body communicates with other things than words, right? It has a completely different language. And I think for creatives and writers who have their usual way of expressing themselves through journaling or just typing on the computer and letting it all out, everything exists in the world of actual words that we are speaking. And now you're telling us there's something like below the head we need to listen to. I think that will be completely new to some of the people listening. I wonder if you have any thoughts on, as you said, you talked about a panic attack, and a writer might not necessarily have a panic attack on the computer, but I think anxiety, and I've seen it with my clients too and myself, anxiety can be high when you are sitting down and the pressure is on and you know you have only an hour and you're supposed to write this thing and submit it, and it's going to be really important for your career or this book is really important for you, a lot of writers get really blocked and then they start procrastinating, or they sit there in complete paralysis and they stare at the computer and they feel all kinds of sensations in their body that are so uncomfortable, and then they get up and walk away from the computer. So I wonder, from a somatic standpoint, what do you think is behind that in the nervous system, in the body? What is happening in that moment when the writer is trying to sit down and thinking, or even just thinking about their writing, and they get this huge discomfort? Where's that coming from?
A lot of times when we notice the blocks or like the resistance or procrastination, perfectionism, self doubt, it is actually your nervous system protecting you. It is a protective response of the nervous system. A lot of times it's like when you look at what is it that you desire to finish your book, you desire to submit your article, whatever it is. This comes with a specific flavoring for your nervous system and body. So it can be that, for example, submitting your article or writing your book requires you to make yourself more seen, to use your voice, to be more vulnerable, to step out in a certain way that you're not used to. And this represents a threat to your nervous system, because what the nervous system is doing, and actually is, I always say, it's like your personal bodyguard. So it always looks at a database of past experiences that you have gathered. Everything is in there. So it looks, what do I have here around vulnerability, around taking risk, around being seen, around impact. And it looks, oh, that was not safe in the past because my caregivers couldn't emotionally meet me in a way that I needed back then. So I developed that belief, when I step out, I'm going to be judged, I'm going to be rejected. Or if I write that book, that means I have to take on more responsibility and I have to sacrifice time and have less time with my family or kids, for example. So they're like very unconscious beliefs that the body is storing, that it associates to the desire that you have. Writing the book, publishing the article, having more impact. So your nervous system then, it does it in a millisecond. So we're not even aware of it. It's then coming in the form of dysregulation, which we know as fight or flight, freeze, the shutdown state, fawn, which is people pleasing, to protect you. So what we can do there is very important, is to regulate our nervous system. So our nervous system learns, hey, it's actually safe. I don't have to protect you anymore. I don't have to fight or be in burnout or be in these anxiety spirals, but I can have ease and write at the computer the words and submit that book and submit that article, and it actually gets to be easy and fun.
Okay, so that is super interesting. So it's not actually that the writing is making us scared, or not having time to write. There are a lot of reasons that we tell ourselves, but really it's that the body is detecting some sort of threat that is maybe triggered by some subconscious beliefs that you have. For example, I shouldn't speak out. If you're a memoirist and you're talking about your life, it's a very vulnerable thing to do. Or as an academic, what if it's not good enough? I have a lot of clients who keep saying, well, but what if this footnote is wrong? Or what if I cite someone wrong? Or what if the argument I make is not good enough and someone else is going to come and just shred my paper to pieces? And so the body, almost like a safety mechanism, it's just saying, you are not safe. Let's block you very nicely so that you step away from the computer and do something that doesn't make you feel so bad. That is really fascinating. And I wonder, how can it be that we are all such clever and intelligent and really reflected creative people, and at the same time with our mind, for example, it's not good enough? Why can't I, if I just think about, well, let's reframe it, I'm just going to tell myself 20 times a day, it's good enough, it's good enough? Why is this not enough for writers? Because I've tried it and it works to some extent, but my body still does what it wants. Why is the mind alone not enough?
The body doesn't speak words. It doesn't speak to us through words or cognitive language, but it is a subcortical system, which means it speaks to us through a felt sense experience, which is emotion, sensations, arousal, tickling, heat, cold. So everything that you can feel in the body, like pressure, this is a felt sense experience. When we now do these journaling prompts or these affirmations, then we just engaging 20%, which is the mind, of the cognitive understanding and the processing power of the body. But 80% doesn't really understand it. We have to engage a felt sense experience. And how can we do that? Is through actually feeling what is underneath that. How does it feel to be good enough? Maybe you notice an opening in your chest, or you notice a sense of grounding. You notice peace or calm in your body. This is a felt sense experience. So this is what can the body and nervous system can actually grasp. Might be an unpopular opinion, but a lot of times people say, change your thoughts, change your reality. That's not entirely true because it's actually the nervous system state that determines your thoughts. So imagine that you're in a fight or flight state. Then you have different thoughts than if you're in a calm state. For example, the thoughts in a fight or flight state, which is a sympathetic nervous system state, it's like there's a lot of urgency and rush. It's like, I have to do this now. I can't wait. Like, it must happen now. There's so much urgency and so much adrenaline and cortisol that is actually flushing through the body. That is a survival state. So your mind is actually adapting to that survival state that your body is in, right? As I said, it's a protection system. It works perfectly. It's a brilliant protection system. We just have to teach it that the perceived threat that it's detecting are not actually threats. Another very common also, I'm sure for writers, is the freeze state. So it's this inner paralysis where you want to do something, but you can't. And this is actually when there's an inner conflict in the body. So there's one part which is in the fight or flight. So it has a lot of energy and wants to act, has this urgency. But there's this other state from the shutdown, which is like, I'm hopeless, dissociating. So there's this inner battle. This I want, but I can't. This is actually where procrastination lives of like, yeah, I might postpone it to later or tomorrow. Or you say you want to do some things, but then you don't actually do it. And then it's like, yeah, I can do it another day. It's like postponing, constantly being in that free state of like wanting to get things done, but you can't. And you notice yourself self-sabotaging. So you have different thoughts based on each state. So it's actually not possible to just change your thoughts and then your reality changes if your body and nervous system is not on board. This is so important to understand what nervous system state you're actually in.
I love what you said. You are basically telling us don't just think you're going to be all right and you're good enough. Don't just tell yourself you're going to be good enough, but feel it in your body first. And then you can open up and then you can so easily access writing flow, which we all really crave, right? But it's so hard to get. And I did see that in action. So in my last cohort of the 90-day Right Habit Accelerator, you came in, and at the start of a few of those co-writing sessions that are part of the program, you led the participants through, I think it was only 10-15 minutes of a somatic practice together. And I did it with everyone. So I closed my eyes and I could feel it in my body, but I did peek at the recording afterwards. And I could really see how people's shoulders were sort of coming down, how the chest opened. Some had maybe a smile. Sometimes there was maybe an emotional reaction to something that they noticed. Oh my gosh, I've been having tension in my neck for such a long time. And I noticed when after we did this exercise and then we said, okay, let's set a small goal for the next 50 minutes, they were able to go straight in. And so it seems to me almost that somatic work is one of the missing pieces that writers and creatives really need. And I think most people don't know it. And I didn't know it before I met you. Tell me a little bit about what would be something easy to start if someone is listening, and a simple step I can take before I start my writing, or something they could do by themselves, or maybe they can tap into something that you can teach us so that they get a bit of a glimpse of the power of the somatic work.
The most easy and also most profound way is to start with your breath. And when you notice that resistance, we actually breathe a lot in our chest. So our breath becomes shortened. So what we can do is actually to lower our breath. So you can start with like breathing in for the count of 4 and stop your inhale and exhaling for the count of 4. Your belly expands and contracts, breathing into the belly. You can do this for 5 minutes in the morning or even before you start your writing session to really reset your nervous system. You will already notice that you feel much calmer and much relaxed. Your body will start to slow down, will start to become more present because you are communicating to it. There's actually no threat. So your body learns that writing is a safe experience. Another thing that you can do, which I love, is the grounding practice. When you're sitting on the chair, for example, when you write, before you start writing, you notice your feet on the ground, on the surface. You notice your hands maybe touching your knees, and you just notice you're sitting on the chair and all these contact points, how your body is touching actually the chair, the surface. You can close your eyes and put your attention on these points. And you can also notice how your feet is really melting into the ground. Maybe some roots are growing out of your feet into the earth. You can notice that you're really stable, like really grounded. And that is again a very good regulation practice. Another one, which I love, is when oftentimes people, if it's the first time, they have a bit of difficulties to close their eyes and to go straight into the experience. So what you do is, before you write again or before any other activity, you just look around your environment and look around your room and like let your eyes wander, and you just really notice your environment, the colors, the texture, what you can smell, what you can see, engaging all of your five senses as if you would look at this environment for the first time. And then you stop your gaze at an object that makes you feel good, that makes you feel safe and nourishing. For example, a plant somewhere in your room, or maybe looking out the window and seeing a very lush tree, right? And then you just stop there, your gaze, and you're just inhaling and just notice what it does to your body. You notice the sense of comfort, the sense of grounding. You can also do it for 5 minutes to really notice how you're calming down much more.
That makes so much sense. So, what I'm hearing is that as a writer and creative and a human being, we need a somatic practice even before we get writer's block and even before we get stressed and start procrastinating. Ideally, we do this as part of our life so that then when we do go to the writing, we have it ready. This can be our flow ritual just before the writing session. And it is already so natural to us to do our breathing exercise or to look around the room, engage our senses, that we don't feel like, oh no, now on top of the writing that I'm dreading, I need to do this extra practice that I don't really know about, right? So if you do this regularly, then it's in your arsenal, then it's in your toolkit already, right? And that is actually exactly the same as writing. The more you write, the more regularly you write, the more you tell your body and mind that you can do it. I really love that. And I've when you explained the exercises, I was doing them with you, right? I was taking that breath and I was looking around my room and I was imagining that I had roots going from my feet into the earth. And I could feel that it changed something. And I'm just thinking, what if I did that every morning? How much could that change my life? So thank you so much for those 3 mini exercises they really sound foundational. I feel like all the, body and mind, creativity, and how you deal with your body, how you heal yourself, all of these things belong together. If you want to do somatic work to support your writing, your joy in writing, your productivity, you and I, we are offering this workshop together, the masterclass, for people to establish a routine for themselves, right? To figure out how they can apply the somatic work to themselves, and then also how to create a habit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We will really go deeper again into like how does your nervous system keeps you stuck in these patterns of procrastination, perfectionism. We will go a little bit deeper what this nervous system actually is, the system that lives inside of you that is responsible for not only your writing but even your relationships, your happiness, your fulfillment in life, and how you can go back into the driver's seat. How can you work with your nervous system in your writing? So how can you learn the language of your body and nervous system? This is what we will in depth explore. And then as well, you will take something very tangible away, which are somatic practices you can immediately integrate in your writing routine, in your writing life. And we will do it also interactive. So you have our support as well. You can share with us like what you're going through, what is challenging for you. And then we also adapt the practices based on your experience. So it really works for you. As I said before, that the body nervous system is very unique. So there are many practices out there which might not work for you. Really depending on what nervous system state you're in. So we really go deep into this. And then as well, we will take you through a practical somatic practice, feeling the ease. So you will notice what it actually feels like to be in a state of ease, to be in a state of flow. You can apply it directly. You notice immediately the shift after the 2-hour masterclass.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds awesome, and that's exactly what I'm hoping for in bringing both of our expertise together, all the creative side and thing I know about from all these writers, hundreds and hundreds of writers in one-on-one and group situations that were stuck with so many different things. And I think the missing piece really has been going deeper into the somatic work and making it an integral part of the writing. What is your sense? Because you have been in my program, the 90-Day Accelerator, where you have experienced writers sort of taking on the somatic practice and going right into flow. If someone comes to our workshop or does some of the exercises we just talked about earlier to start with, how quickly can a writer see results when they start applying somatic tools? How quickly can they actually feel, yes, this is helping me?
Immediately. So this is the beauty in somatic work. You notice when you are doing a somatic practice, you feel immediately the feedback from your body through more calmness, through more relaxation. You notice you're more open and ideas flow more easily to you. You have that spark of inspiration and creativity where you notice like, oh, there's this idea coming through and it's just perfect for that paragraph or story that I want to write. Like it just comes. It's basically like you're opening yourself up and creativity and inspiration can just flow easier to you. So you notice the shift immediately.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I have a final question that is about joy because most of my clients come to me when they feel stuck and stressed and they don't have time to write and there are these pain points for them. And then through the writing coaching and through the different programs, very often they start saying, well, I got rid of my blocks and I got rid of the perfectionism. I got rid of things that were holding me back. But you know what? The most important thing was I started enjoying the writing. They will almost say it's surprised. And so I wonder now, knowing now how important the body work is as well, what your take on this is. How do you think somatic practices can reconnect people to the joy in writing and not just productivity and having lots of output, but really opening up that joy? What role does somatic practice play here?
This is huge because the more we are connecting to the body and the nervous system, the more we are actually, as you said, like rediscovering joy and just for the sake of the process, not being attached to outcome, productivity, or output. Once we are healing that part of us and also the misunderstanding our body has with through productivity, I get love or only get connection or attention or validation. And we source it from within, not through our book, not through hitting publish, not through external validation, but actually sourcing that from within because we are inherently worthy. But it is a great thought, it's a great affirmation. But if our body doesn't believe it, again, then we still play out that pattern. But if we like teach our nervous system and body that we are inherently worthy, no matter what happens, no matter if I publish that book or how long I take to write that book, then we are rediscovering joy again because we don't make it dependent on our productivity, on our output, on what other people think, on external validation, but we give ourselves the permission slip to feel the joy first.
I really love that. Thank you so much. I'm really resonating with that because I do know what it feels like when you've lost your joy in writing, what it feels like when you rediscover it and when you can't wait to start your writing session rather than dreading it. It is such a different place. And I've been doing it recently. I've been writing a book every day for 1 hour in the morning in meditative state, which is not quite somatic work, but I can definitely feel tingling all across my body. I have not actually experienced such joy in writing for a really long time. Now, Josefina, of course, we will put the workshop in the show notes, but I want to know if someone is more interested in you and your work. Do you have any simple place where people can go, maybe socials or a website where they can find out more about you? Where can they go?
So they can go to my Instagram page. I post there regularly content about the exact topics that I talked about. The easiest thing is, which is my entry point, is for people who want to explore this work deeper, is my one-on-one somatic deep dive. And this is a 90-minute somatic coaching intensive where we will heal deep-seated nervous system patterns that are blocking you from the life that you want. And we go back to the place of like confidence, ease, and clarity, how to actually integrate this, what came up in the session, into your daily life. And if not, I welcome you on my Instagram page where I create like regular content on this, and then you can explore also what I have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Josefina. We'll make sure to put everything in the show notes so people can find exactly the right place. And of course, to all the listeners, if today's episode resonated with you, and if you're ready to stop struggling and stressing and you want to start writing with ease through somatic work, you can come to our joint workshop that we're giving in May. It's called Somatic Writing Masterclass Unlock Your Writing Flow. And you will walk away with tools and also confidence and the felt experience of what it means to move your writing project forward from a completely different place that you've maybe never experienced before. Check the show notes for the link, and we can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much, Josefina, for coming and explaining the importance of the work that you do for creative people and for writers, because I think everyone needs to know this. I think just the awareness that your body can play with, it can throw the spanner in the works. Your body has an influence, a strong influence on how creative and productive you are. If you only understand that one thing, your life has probably already shifted. So thank you so, so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.